Hey, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Amanda.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Kathleen.
And this is the federal election edition of Beyond a Ballot, powered by DoorDash.
Good Saturday morning. I'm Hannah Thibodeau. I still have my pajamas on, to be quite honest. And we are just 2 days away from E-Day. Yay, gals.
Yay!
I know, I'm waiting. It's like, holy
We're so
cow,
tired. We're like, till what?
Till E-Day, the campaign countdown nearly over. So we are going to talk ad wars, and this has been an exciting time. Today we're going to unpack the slick TV spots, the social media stunts, and the serious cash each party shelled out to grab your attention, whether it was during your morning coffee, your morning scroll, or while watching TV. Because in campaigns, it's not just about what they said, it's about the money they threw behind it. So what did the parties put on your screen? Was it persuasive or was it painful? Rachel, let's start with you. Rachel Siegel, talk about your favorite ad that was put out by the Conservatives.
Well,
or not favorite.
In this campaign, I think for me it was the most recent one. I felt a little bit.
You're not saying the golfers.
The golf one?
The golfers. It just was kind of reminiscent of my era of like Harper conservative, where there was some there was like a tagline and it was real people like pretending to be real people. You'll remember the ad for Michael Ignatieff. You know, he had that tagline, he didn't come back for you. And with Justin Trudeau, it was nice hair, though. Remember that ad? Nice hair, though. And so, I don't know, the golfing one, it was very targeted. It was for a specific purpose. And I think that it served the need that they created it for, namely boomers, people that have kids living in their basement. And it was really at the end of the campaign where they were trying to send a very clear message, which I think that came through in that ad. Other than that, I mean, obviously the Conservatives are great at attack ads, always have been. But for me, that's the one that stands out. Maybe
I see Amanda wanting to jump in on this.
Maybe it's the latest.
I just can't believe you chose that ad
of this whole campaign.
Like that's the one with the old white men golfers who are. They can't even have Polyev in the ad anymore, so they have to put these guys in the ad, and they're supposed to represent Canadian boomers. Like it was the ad that gave me the most cringe. Not because I thought it was effective, because
I thought so too.
It just was such a turnoff to me.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Well, I just felt they were going after a demographic that they should have already had, is that older white male demographic. And I felt like, why are they doing this at this point when that should be who they have? That was just my thought process.
But that's what we can talk about, right? Because exactly that ad, they sadly for the Conservatives, not for the other parties, but they don't have that demographic right now. So that 55 plus male, certainly 55 plus female demographic, they don't own. So that ad was specifically targeting that demographic to try to bring them back in. So, I mean, we can talk about this, Hannah, but I mean, a lot of your ad program, your ad strategy is about thinking through not only the research that you get, quantitative, qualitative research that you're doing in the field, talking to people. That's actually the longest period of time trying to pulling all that research together. And then you actually walk into the creative process and try to distill the messages, the key points from that research. And then you actually start doing the creative process and thinking about how do we bring this to life, this message to life. And then once you get the actually creative done, then you also have to do part of your ad program and your ad strategy is then thinking, obviously testing the ad to make sure it works for the demographic you want it to work with, and we can break that down. But then really where you place it, right? To reach those people. Is it on digital? Is it on television, radio? How do we get them? Is it on advancing podcasts like the one that we're on now? Sometimes ads are placed here because they want to get a specific demographic. And I think what was telling about the ad, and I'm not as negative as you both are on the ad. I kind of agree with, in terms of a strategy with Rachel, that it was necessary to do. I don't think it was like a great ad. I can point
no, and to clarify, I'm not saying those actors were awful. It was not a great ad. I'm not saying that it was a good ad. I'm saying that as a strategist with my strategist hat on, that was kind of an old school conservative ad, and it was less about pinning Mark Carney in a way and more about the actual calculation of who they needed in that moment to gain support from. What Kathleen so eloquently said that I did not.
I mean, a good question, Hannah, to posit to all of us is kind of like, name your ads from other parties that you like, right? In some ways. But I do think that there's a differential between negative ads and positive ads, right? So like Rachel listed a couple of negative ads that conservatives have done against previous leaders or against the current leader. And I would say it's more fun to kind of look at their positive throws. So if I would say ads that I like that my opponents have done, I actually would scroll back, almost 18 months ago, or maybe 2 years, excuse me, and actually say the conservatives did a really good series of ads about Pierre Poilievre that were his introduction ads.
Right. Yeah.
So if you remember him and his wife with the kids on the swing,
those were good.
Or him playing the puzzle with his son, I would have done a lot more of those ads to file down the negative edges that Pierre had. And they spent, to be clear, $9 million on ads in 2023 and probably close to $30 million in ads in 2024. So they've had a massive ad budget that they've been playing with for years. A reminder, we're in 2025. They've probably also spent another 10 to 15 to 25 million, this year. So I would have done more positive ads that way. In terms of the Liberals, truthfully, with all deference to Amanda, who I know makes tons of amazing ads all the time, I found the Liberal ad strategy on the positive throw to be pretty meh this time. They're not that interesting. Their negative ads against Pierre Poilievre are really interesting. I think the cuts that they've done in terms of aligning Pierre with Donald Trump and those kind of intercut ads, but those are negative ads. And I think they are pretty effective at establishing a frame that Poilievre is like Trump. And I guess I should just quickly, before I turn the mic over, say about my own party.
Yeah.
I think that there's been a bunch of ads that New Democrats have tried to do over a number of years. I think back. Go ahead.
No, sorry, Kath. I thought you were done.
I think if you go back to 2008 and 2011, we had a bunch of ads like a hamster on a wheel or dogs barking and not getting anything done. And those ads were trying to say, like, choose a real progressive voice and we will get your issues forward. And I think you saw it this time with Jagmeet Singh having an ad where he was in a revolving door that you see in those office buildings. And he's like, you don't need to continue to choose the red door or the blue door. There's another door. And then he opens up a still frame door and walks through. And that's kind of a message that New Democrats have been sending forever. I'm not saying it was his greatest ad, but I do think it was like sending the same kind of message like we've even seen in the 2018 Ontario campaign, a great New Democratic ad for Andrea Horwath, which was a bunch of people playing dodgeball. And it was, red balls being thrown and people getting hit. And then blue balls.
I remember that.
Yeah, the blue balls being thrown and people getting hit, and then finally, saying you can choose something different, and so it's all part of the strategy.
Amanda, the Liberal Party used also not just TV, but they launched thousands of new ads on Facebook and Instagram in the first week of campaigning. And this is by EOK Consults. I'm sorry, I don't know who they are, but they had Mark Carney launched 4,430 new campaigns on the two Meta platforms between March 23rd and March 29th. The Conservatives launched 44 in the same period.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. And the spend was about the same, according to data. But Jagmeet Singh only spent a smaller amount in the same period of time. What's the strategy behind that? Is that going after that younger generation?
I actually didn't know that they had launched that many ads or that it was even possible to do that.
I know.
I do know that they were. So I have a couple of takeaways, and Kathleen actually may have more on that particular strategy because she's really close to that stuff. A couple of call-outs that I have about ads are, one, they're cutting all the time, right? So you see, and this is why they can turn around these very like short clip. It's like creating a reel almost on Instagram. That's how easy it is now. So you can take a clip from the rally, you can take a moment that happens between your candidate and a person on the campaign trail, and you can very quickly turn those into like little mini ads. And that may be what they did with the 4,000 pieces that they put out. But the
Yeah.
idea is that you can in real time follow the trending conversations, follow what's happening on the campaign trail, and react accordingly. And I think one of the things that the Liberal Party in particular has done well, and I'll agree with Kathleen, their ads didn't like, they weren't mind blowing. They weren't like we're not going to be talking about them 5 years from now. I
Yeah.
think their Mike Myers ad right at the beginning
Oh,
was
It was
yeah.
great.
awesome.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
Oh,
that
yeah.
elbows up sort of set the tone.
yeah.
I think it gave people a kind of fresh look at Carney in a way that felt super relatable and gave him that kind of celebrity backing. So I thought that worked well. I think their most effective negative ad was their contrast ad with
Yes.
Polyev and Trump, which Kathleen spoke about, where they actually spliced language that mimicked one another. I think that was very powerful and extremely damaging. It was the everything is broken spot.
I heard people
Um,
talk about that ad.
Totally. But
Yeah.
I do think that the thing that the Liberal Party did well is they kept their eye on the ball. They did not change their messaging very much. So it was very focused on Trump, who was going to be the best person positioned to take on Trump. And I think the Conservatives' challenge was that they really changed their messaging. So in the first week and a half of the campaign, they were still campaigning against Trudeau. And when they realized that that message wasn't working, they moved into the next territory, which is like Carney is Trudeau. Okay, wait, Carney's not Trudeau. Carney is somebody else. And eventually they came to this conclusion that this was going to be changed. But because they had so many messages, what made them so strategically supremely excellent for the last 2 years was that they used their slogans, the axe the tax or Trudeau must go, so effectively, so repetitively that you couldn't forget it. And what they
Yeah.
failed to do in this campaign was give us something memorable to hang our hat on. They
Mm.
were all over the place, which was the
Yeah.
most surprising thing from a party who has been so disciplined in their
It's
message
true.
prior to
And
this.
so good,
Excellent point.
Rachel, in the past of being able to define leaders before they've been able to define themselves.
Yeah, and
Would
I
you
think
agree, Rachel?
yeah, well, we did define Justin Trudeau and did a great job of that, and so
Yes.
we were so effective in doing so that he ended up leaving. So I think then there was a short runway with Mark Carney, and there was efforts to define him, and I think at least I've heard it in rooms that I've been in where people have brought up different ways that he's been defined by the Conservatives. So I think I can't say there was no definition of Mark Carney. I think the other thing is that Canadians don't really know Mark Carney. Like, who is Mark Carney? He was the former governor of the Bank of Canada in England, but like, what else does he stand for? What else does he want to do with this country? I'm not sure that narrative really came out in this campaign, and the Conservatives tried to really rally against that. Who is Mark Carney? But I was looking back at those ads, and I mentioned a couple of them, and I think back to the campaigns over the last couple of decades, and each one kind of had that conservative slogan that we define it by. So like that nice hair though didn't come back for you with Michael Ignatieff. Stéphane Dion was not worth the risk. And then you think about this campaign and you think,
Yeah,
what's
what's Mr.
that?
Carney's?
What's Carney? I don't know. Does anyone else have something for Carney?
No.
So it is a little bit of a shift in narrative when it comes to ads. But Conservatives, this is not new for the Conservatives in this campaign. They have always had massive ad spends. This is kind of our thing over the last 20 years. And so I will say this was more interesting for the Conservatives because of that shift of narrative and the way they kind of pivoted through the campaign. But this is also a crazy campaign. And who would have ever thought we would be here with Mark Carney as the Liberal leader and that he'd be prime minister for 6 days or something before? 9, sorry. Got to give him those extra 3 days. And so it's just been a wild ride. And I think that is really what's playing in here.
Let's go through. We only have about 30 seconds each for everyone, but let's go through because the social media ad spends are important too. So, Kath, for Mr. Singh, I saw some where he took off his turban, and that really stuck with me for him. In that social media scroll. Maybe in the 30 seconds for each of you, talk about the ads that stood out for you. I don't care if it's your party, someone else's party. Kath, go first.
So those they're called Get Ready With Me
I like
kind
them.
of ads, right?
Yeah.
So and so he's actually done a few of them. You're right, Hannah. And this is him, showing people. He did a couple. The ones that stood out for me was how he does his turban, how he does his hair care every day. And
Fascinating.
when he of course takes off his turban, he looks like Fabio. Like everyone's like, whoa, look at all that gorgeous hair.
Not Fabio. Who's
you're-
that other actor? Anyone?
Patrick
sorry.
Swayze.
No, Patrick
Okay.
Swayze. That's a good one. I would not have guessed Patrick Swayze. I see Kathleen Googling it too.
Yes, I'm trying to.
Okay,
for you, but I don't know his
Kathleen,
name.
you keep talking. I'll find it.
But to just finish on the theory of it, I think you're thinking of Jason Momoa. Is that who you're
Yes.
thinking
Oh,
of?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jason
Yeah.
Good job.
Momoa, with all the hair. But
Yes.
I guess what it is to bring visually, and you see them, in commercial ads too. Like, so a lot of, you'll see people, women particularly putting makeup on, but then they're talking about women's health issues, right? But people are drawn in to see them. And part of the Get Ready With Me phenomenon is like, it draws people in to listen to you as they're getting ready in the morning or doing their thing. And then they talk about the issues that matter. So both in the case of doing his hair and putting on his turban, or when he did a beard care one, he was talking about issues that really were important, right? So he's always linking it to defending healthcare, ensuring, so he gets his message across with an attraction. There's actually a thing right now on the internet that's quite popular too, and has had a lot of effect in German and other European elections. And it's called ASMR, which if you just excuse me, people just, it's quiet and they go,
Yes.
can you hear that?
Yeah. Oh my
So they do
God.
that, and then they whisper, you should all vote for the New Democrats because we're the only ones who will protect your healthcare. And so, but it's really effective.
Did he do it?
Wait, but is someone doing that?
No, I've seen them
Oh
in
my
Germany and
God.
elsewhere. I actually told the kids at the war room, I'm like, that's how you do
so
it.
good.
You just do it.
I think I'm gonna do ASMR soon. Okay, Amanda, it's your
Pay
turn.
attention.
That was legitimately the
That's
best
hilarious.
thing that we have talked about on this podcast.
Pretty good.
What do I think? I think a couple. Well, the one that did the best was an actual ad. Elbows Up did the best, I think. But what has been running lately on social has been the teacher spot with Carney, which was really, I think, their most kind of heartfelt moment. He talks about connecting with the teacher, and all the kids in the class had to write down like their vision for Canada, things they were worried about, and talks about some of the kids talking about tariffs and how, nobody could have imagined that children would be talking about being fearful of tariffs or not wanting to be a part of the US. It was one of those emotive spots that I think works really well on social media because it's so shareable. It makes you feel something in, less than 15 seconds. And I thought it was the right one to run at this moment because if he's been accused of anything, it's exactly what Rachel said a few minutes ago, which is like, who really is he? And to give people a bit of that that there's a feeling person in there, that there's that he's a dad, that he's relatable, that he's connected in more than just, I'm going to lead this country in the trade war. It's like, I'm going to connect with actual people. And I thought that's why it's done so brilliantly on social, because it evoked a little something that maybe we
It's that
haven't quite
emotion.
heard from. Yeah.
I like that one too.
Hmm.
Okay, Rachel.
I think I'll give the same to Pierre Polyev. People are really fascinated with his personal life because he's been such a public figure for so long. This is a guy who is a young dad. He has a child with special needs. He's got a wife who is like amazing and feisty and doing her own thing, creating media. Like she has a media brand, and I think people don't necessarily see that side of him. And so all of the ads related to his family during this campaign, I think played pretty well. You'll all know I'm a huge fan of Cruz Polyev. His son, his gorgeous
kitty.
blonde locks flowing in the wind. And I just think that anytime we see Pierre as this young dad, especially when it's like millennial women are a huge part of who he's trying to attract. I think that is definitely a powerful social message that the Conservatives have put out in this campaign.
And just look, all of the last three, the ones we liked, were personal stories.
Yeah.
And that's the narratives that really, when you're trying to communicate, facts are important, but it's those personal stories that really bring everybody in. And I'm going to have to end it there. We went longer today, but it was so much fun. How about tomorrow? It is going to be a hodgepodge, free-for-all final day. The ladies get to call the shots. Do you want to talk battleground ridings? What are leaders doing on election day? How their families are holding up. It is the final day before Canadians head to the polls, and anything goes with these ladies. Come hang out with us on our final day as well.
Thank you for listening. New episodes come out daily, and you can find Beyond a Ballot on Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. A huge thank you to our title sponsor, DoorDash, and sponsors Equal Voice, Page, and Canada Powered by Women for making this election special possible. Speak to you tomorrow.